Hey, welcome to In the Zone. Dave Delgado here with my man Billy. Everybody knows him, Ninja Warrior guy, and we're talking Trench Challenge training. And the event's not until September, but now's the time for anybody interested in joining the event to get strong and get their conditioning done now.
Yes, half a day Guam. Um, so Trench Challenge, we are having an event this weekend. It's basically about conditioning in preparation for the Trench Challenge on September 29th, um, which will be taking place at a Jigger racetrack as well. So our primary focus will be on terrain navigation, being able to adapt through any type of terrain, especially when you're running through trails. Uh, it's not as easy as running through like the road and pavement. There's a lot of things to consider, and we will we'll also be focusing on some core strength conditioning that will probably take place right after our terrain navigation.
Yeah, so first things first, when somebody is planning on doing Trench Challenge, of course, number one, making sure you have the proper footwear. And
Right.
two, I've seen some people actually trying to run the course holding a water bottle or any type of uh, drink to.
Hydration
Yeah,
pack, yeah.
I mean, what do you recommend?
Uh, for starters, I would recommend hydrating. At least drink a gallon a day, days before the event, because you will be out in the sun. Here in Guam, you'll probably be scorched, you know. So stay hydrated days prior, as well as during the event. So I would suggest bringing a hydro pack. At least 2 liters of water is fine. We will be having some marshals or water stations for people to drink water. I'm guessing probably in about every mile of the course will be kind of like a 5K. You know, we'll probably have a water station, and also drink a lot of coconut water. You know, it's good for electrolytes. It's good for recovery, and it's good to just really stay hydrated throughout the week.
And so for footwear, tennis shoes, something that has traction, but
Oh yes.
nothing too heavy.
Trekking shoes are the best. What I would recommend is invest in Solomon shoes. It's a certain brand. It gives you a certain type of grip. So when you're climbing over moss or slippery areas, mud, it keeps your feet pretty much comfortable running through these type of terrain. Um, like I said, running through trails is a lot different compared to running on the road.
And last year's race was a little longer than previous races, so I think another thing to factor in is just making sure you're able to cover that amount of distance and
Right.
still have the energy to do the obstacles in front of you.
Right, right. Uh, the key is to really build your mileage weeks or even months prior to the event, depending on how well you want to do. So I would suggest at least getting in 30 to 40 miles. Or well, for me, I try to track in 30 to 40 miles per week. For starters, I would suggest build it up. Start with 10 miles per week, and then eventually add 20, or keep going 20 to 30 until you're ready. You feel very comfortable. Kind of like you're preparing for the United Guam Marathon, right? Like when you're trying to run for a half marathon, you want to make sure you build your mileage so you're comfortable with that distance, and make sure you also kind of mimic your training to the actual race. So we usually run the race early in the morning, so it'll be pretty hot. So try to run around that time when you're running the actual course.
And I think another thing too is making sure you pick the right start time, like you said.
Oh, yes.
Depending on the time of day and the
Right,
heat,
right.
definitely want to factor those in too.
Right, right. So the earlier the start time for heat, the cooler it would probably be. I know the elite division last year we started a bit later, but we're usually the first heat to go. So I'm hoping that we start like at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. That way it won't be too hot. But in case we do run the course a little later, by 8 o'clock it'll be really, really hot, and the obstacles will be hot, especially metal pieces of metal like rails and stuff. They'll be pretty hot. So you got to learn how to just kind of adapt to those conditions, and just prepare your mind and your body for it.
And what are some workouts anybody at home can can do and just to kind of prep themselves? I know a lot of it deals with grip, so forearm strength and just having a strong grip would definitely help in certain obstacles.
Right, right. I would say the biggest obstacle though is the running. So make sure you build that mileage. Like I said, uh, work on running. Train your legs. Do a lot of split squats, a lot of lunges, squats, pistol squats. Just one-legged type of training with your legs because when you're going through trails, you know, when you're stepping on certain areas, you might just need to use only one leg to step on a certain part of a hill. So being able to build one side of your leg and just balancing it out will really help in terms of, you know, accomplishing your distance when you're running. But in terms of the obstacles, I would consider the obstacles as a resting period. So what would you want to do at home would be to train your grip strength, such as doing pull-ups almost every single day. If you can't do a pull-up, just try to do one, and then try to hit two the next day. Try to hit three. Progress over perfection. You know, that's the most important thing. Don't rush your training because you don't want to get injured, and really focus on different types of exercises that'll help you build that upper body strength.
And definitely pace yourself. I mean,
Yes.
you don't want to blow your wad getting from one obstacle to another, then standing there and having to catch your breath and recuperate
Right, right.
and have enough energy to actually do the obstacle. And I think for some of these participants, they try the obstacle once or twice. You know, they don't get it on the first or second time, but they want to continue to keep trying to get it. I think sometimes it's better to take the penalty than, you know, waste the time and energy on trying to finish the obstacle and you're still unable to do that.
Right, right. Well, it's really about mental fortitude. You know, how much you're willing to push yourself and adapt to the conditions that you're in, and just you know, just really feel that drive as you're going through each obstacle. I mean, if you feel like you keep failing and you're having a hard time, I mean, yes, we will have penalties. In Spartan, we do burpee penalties, but in Trench Challenge, I'm not sure what the penalty will be this time. I remember for the Elite Division, we had some of our bands cut if we weren't able to accomplish an obstacle. As far as the OCRWC, we had to get our bands cut if we weren't able. We could keep trying the obstacles, but that moment that we give up and we just decide not to try anymore, that's when they'll cut our bands. So I'm guessing Trench Challenge will be similar to that again this year, so that you know, it gives us that push, that challenge to make sure we get that obstacle done.
Because you don't want to lose that band.
Yeah, you don't want to lose that band. I think the band is more important than the actual trophy, you know, or
Yeah.
you know.
Let's talk about some of the core workouts. You're also focusing on core strength. Talk about some of the exercises and things that they can do to build that core.
Right. Okay. So I like to vary up my workouts. I do a lot of planks. I do a lot of Russian twists. I do a lot of oblique work, crunches, sit-ups. You know, the basic body weight type of training. But I also do like to incorporate gymnastic style of core training, which requires a lot more upper body strength, a lot more. You know, I use bars to, like, I do vertical knee rises, VKRs. Those help. Toe touches, just the calisthenics workouts for ab workouts. Those help out a lot, and I incorporate it too with other elements of exercises. I kind of turn it into like a combination. So like I do pull-ups, and then I do VKRs, and I do windshield wipers. That would just help you develop a different type of strength core training, because your core actually has a lot of muscles, and having a really strong core will help balance out your upper and your lower body.
I do core workouts. It's old school and new school comedy. A lot of laughing. Hey, no, I was joking. But yeah, so man, Trench Challenge. We also have a guy coming in from Saipan.
Oh yes, James.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said you met him once.
I met him once. Well, last year when he was here, but we've been, you know, communicating with each other. in terms of getting our our session in place, just kind of fine tuning some details so that we know what we'll be teaching and coaching for this coming Sunday.
Yeah, so it's set for Sunday, June 23rd, 4:30 in the afternoon at the
Mhm.
Guam International Raceway. And
Yes.
depending on the type of crowd, as far as maybe having veterans to newcomers to Trench Challenge, um, talk about maybe some of the things in particular that you guys are going to be going over, and maybe easing these participants into the training.
Right, right. Well, uh, OCR or obstacle course racing, it's really about, I would say it's really about having fun. Sometimes it can be competitive depending on how competitive you are or how you want to finish your race. But it's really about having fun. So we will be incorporating a lot of fun, different types of exercises. I like to start off workouts with a warm up. That way, it'll kind of lubricate our muscles and our joints, so we don't injure ourselves. So we will be talking about injury prevention through trails, or just through the obstacles and everything, so that we could, last longer throughout the race and everything. Um, Also, we will be focusing on like the trail running aspect of it, because not a lot of people go through trails unless they're going on a hike,
Yeah.
right? So there's a lot to learn about trail running. Even me, I'm still kind of fairly new about trail running, but I enjoy it because it actually, what do you call it? It reduces the stress in your knees, especially when you're running on pavement so much. Because I do a lot of 5Ks and a lot of the runs here on Guam. So when you run on the pavement a lot, you're really,
Knees.
yeah, your knees, you're just squishing all your cartilage. in
All
your
that
knees.
impact,
Yeah, all that
yeah.
impact. You get so much impact. But when you're running on trails, you actually reduce that impact a lot more, and it's a good way to kind of just relax in a way, relax those
So,
joints.
mentally, what are some tips or things that some of these athletes can really focus on to make sure that their mind is clear
Mhm.
and focused enough to make sure they can get obstacle to obstacle, but then also
Right,
make sure
right.
to overcome some of these obstacles.
Right. Well, I would suggest actually watching YouTube videos of like Spartan Races, Tough Mudders, OCRWC, or Battle Frog, or just these different OCR events that happen in the world. We also have a video coming out with Trench of, I think, last year's event, and what do you call it? It would really help to know what to expect by seeing these videos and just seeing what type of obstacles there are. We still haven't finalized all the blueprints or the obstacles for this year, but I would suggest, yeah, watching those YouTube videos. There are a lot of tutorials on how to overcome some of the obstacles, some techniques. I would suggest, just going outside for a run, and just feeling out your body, being able to understand how your breathing is, because that's key. Make sure you know how your body moves throughout an environment. Know your own strengths, know your own weaknesses, and be able to, just push yourself further than you thought you could.
And I think nutrition will also play a part. I mean,
Definitely.
from now until the event, if you plan on doing it, start changing your eating habits, and then
Mhm.
properly fueling your body for the day of the competition.
Right, right. Carb loading, just like when you're preparing for a half marathon or a run or a full marathon, it's good to carb load. You could cook like pasta, pizza, um, rice, of course, right? A lot of us are Asian. Uh, so carb loading is really good. It's very essential. Hydrating, like I said, drink a lot of water, coconut water. Also, making sure that you get enough protein, because your muscles will thrive on that, and it needs you need protein, especially for recovery after a crazy training session.
And what was your finishing time? I mean, let's compare avid competitors to maybe
Mhm.
first timers. There's a big difference in finishing time.
Right, right. Well, last year I came up third place. I was somewhere around 50, low 50s. But this year I'm hoping to actually push it a little further. I think after I went to London last year, I decided to really push my training. So I've been going off island, for other competitions, and I feel a little more ready, and I feel like I could, do a PB, personal best for this year's trench challenge.
So that's around 50s for elite level guys, and then kind of like in the hour and a half plus for first timers.
Right,
But I
right.
think just finishing an event like that is a big accomplishment
It
for a
is.
lot of
It
people.
totally is. Yeah. I mean, just being out there with the community, the spirit of OCR is just very unique. It's very it's we've it's very how should I say this? The camaraderie is just so lively. This one time when I was in London in OCRWC, I was actually doing a course, an obstacle, and in the middle of the obstacle, I actually cramped. So right when I cramped, I just dropped on the ground, and then one of the guys from Italy, he actually came and saved me and helped me. He was, stretching me out, stretching out my calves. It's really about helping each other out. While we were running through the course, we were just kind of getting to know each other. Like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
And where are you
Yeah,
from?
yeah, I'm just kind
I'm
of
from
tired
Poland.
here, but let's
Yeah.
compensate a little bit.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah. You find people who to pace with, and then you just end up making friends with them. So don't be shy. OCR is just it's really about having fun and just exploring something new.
Yeah, it's competitive, but then
Mhm.
it's also, like you said, it's a camaraderie thing where they're pushing each other, and
Right,
it's about
right.
I think making sure everybody finishes in the mentality of like no man or woman left behind, because
Yeah.
everybody starts it. So you want to see everybody cross that finish line, and whether it
Yeah.
be the look of death where I finally made it, or just a happiness. I mean, everybody's proud to finish and mark it off their bucket list. I mean, there's
Right,
a
of
lot of
course.
things, so many new obstacles that I'm sure they're going to add in
Mhm.
compared to what last year was. So you can never be too prepared for an event, because they're always going to mix it up somehow to make
Exactly.
it interesting.
Right. I mean, just being there at the event would be, it's an accomplishment already.
If anybody wants to track your progress or find workout tips and videos, how can they follow you on social media?
Well, you could hit me up on Instagram. I'm more Instagram than Facebook or any other social media. Billy Navarrete. I'm pretty much you'll see my picture and you'll be able to tell it's me.
And so this weekend, if anybody's interested, you can contact info@trenchevents.com.
Yes, you can also check them out there.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
follow them on social media
Mhm.
outlets, and then get all the information you need for this weekend's
Yes.
training event. Anything else you want to add?
I think we covered pretty much everything. I just want to thank Tom Akigami for allowing me to be part of this, and just helping out the community of Guam, build that spirit of OCR here on Guam, because I feel like it's a growing sport all over the world, and I hope that others will consider going out to London too for the OCRWC.
Well, I know this is probably going to be the first of many
Mhm.
training clinics and sessions for the upcoming big event. So make sure to keep a lot to In the Zone every Thursday at 9 in the morning.